Even without starting interlocks, I
okay.
still have to interlock quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You have to interlock with the sister locks and brother locks, and
Oh,
you have
okay.
to interlock with just people with soft hair. It's hard to keep a retwist. Interlock when we do instant lock, starting them off, as you know. Sometimes we continue doing that. Other times we move to the retwist. But
okay.
a lot of people don't like interlocking because it hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the stylists often don't consider that when they're doing it.
Yeah.
And the tool pulls on the hair real tiny.
Mm-hmm.
So that also hurts. And then people don't do it in the proper way and often leave, locks with Y shapes in them and everything from the root.
Oh,
so
okay.
we're just trying to do a little segment, courtesy of You Natural Hair, to show a little bit about interlocking. It's really not the whole technique is not bad. It's really partially the tools and it's partially how you do it.
Oh, okay.
So
because you were saying you were wanting to look into like designing tools too.
Yeah, and they have designed different tools.
Okay.
They have designed them. It's just hard to use, in my opinion, and maybe I would just need to get used to it. But I've gotten so used to the latch hook I just need to use this tool. But that one often is pretty slow, and it just doesn't grab the hairs in a neat fashion on the way up the lock, making it tighter as you do the revolutions.
Oh, okay.
So, as long as you do Jaleesa the locks, and I'm telling people on the internet too, as long as you're doing them in different positions, they don't have to be in the exact 360 form.
Oh, okay.
And you see how that ends up nice and neat. And you take that new growth and you just pull it down. Now, I'm going to show you a mistake that I can fix real fast, so I'm not, even if a person does this and they realize, what am I doing? If you do the lock in the same position each time you run the lock through, this is what you're going to get. You see what's happening? What I called it just before, a Y lock. All right. And then you keep doing that till it gets tight, and then it starts looking like it's two locks. And if a person hasn't gotten their locks done in a long time and they have that much new growth, it would be a really big Y. So you don't want that to happen. So now I got to bring it back through so I can do it the proper way, because that is showing that a person's never interlocked before and they have no idea what to do. Now I'm going to stop for a second.
Too.
Yep. Yeah. I'm going to stop for a second. In the event, now a person came to me yesterday, and I hate that I didn't record it, but they had Y locks all through their head because the person didn't know what they were doing. They just did it. So he wanted a regular retwist to switch from interlock to retwist. So I took as much new growth as I could, and I went around it, and I did the retwist, and I palm rolled, and I sent him on his way like that. And over time, his new growth will melt back into those little Ys, and it'll stop the Y lock process. But yeah, you don't want to do that because it just messes everything up. If it's a tiny Y, you can bring the hair down a little bit and bring the lock through, and then it disappears. Y lock gone. So yeah, it's a lot of easy fixes to things. Even if it was really a big Y lock, you could actually take some human hair and wrap it around and latch hook it in and use the crochet hook to tighten it up, and then that Y lock appearance will be gone. I mean, locks really are really easy to repair if you know the techniques. It's just a lot of different techniques and a lot of different textures and a lot of different products. The client I had before, I had to interlock his instant locks on the root, but his hair was so curly and so soft that it took me forever to instant lock, even though I know what I'm doing, because the hair was just wiggling back out. So I took some of my other products that I use, and I added that inside of the process. And I found that even if I added it before or after I made the lock, it doesn't work. But if I do it in between starting the lock, his lock started forming. It was crazy. Wow. Sometimes you just have to do experiments. Sometimes it's just easier it is for others, and you just have to try. I say on the very first page on my website that you may struggle longer than others, but everybody can get locks. I've done a Chinese student from University of Michigan Dearborn.
Okay.
So he had instant locks and he walked out. It took him a couple of times for his hair to bend, but that's all in the training process, just like starter locks.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to take the time out to wait. Just wait. It's a journey. Everybody's journey is different. So now you got your first row right here. It's not too tight. If I did it one more time, she would be hurt. And you notice she didn't wince much because when I was bringing it through, I would really be serious about, you know, not hitting those individual hairs. And then at the last bring through, if you bring it through from the end, you find out you hit a lot of less resistance bringing it from the end than bringing it from right here. So there's a lot of different techniques that would change a stylist's experience with their clients to just be able to interlock a person and then not leave with their scalp red and irritated. And then they can't lay down and go to sleep because it hurts. And I know I interlock my own hair, so I definitely know when to stop bringing the lock through. So, and if you want a smooth appearance as the locks get thicker up, you know, the last row is pretty easy. It's always soft, silky, shiny, baby hair like. But when you get into the further rows, you want to kind of add something. In this case, I'm adding a little styling foam because for her texture, the styling foam would be good just to bring it down. I could add a leave-in conditioner, but whatever. Styling foam or leave-in conditioner, both of them would work good. Just anything to bring the hairs down so that you don't have to pay so much attention to snagging later on. All these techniques matter. Every step. And so after you've gotten your row straightened back out and all of the hairs that like to join together, you see where the line is. Even if it is nappy and out of order, you start to see where it's supposed to go. And then you comb it a little bit just so you have a neat appearance of it when you grab it. And combing it does make a difference. And then you bring that hair through with the new growth. And then you find another spot untouched and you do that. And then there. And you just follow the pattern really. And because I'm left-handed, and a lot of people that I show how to do this or explain to them they're right-handed, you just have to go with the flow because I learned on my own and then I perfected the process after I got comfortable with it. And you see how that looks neat. Now I could do it one more time because when it bends like that too much, you can. So that last one, to avoid gripping so much hair, just grab through there and boom, it's through. And she did need one more. And you see how neat and how neat it is without being super tight. And you can give people a nice interlock look without killing them. It does not need to be that tight. No type of process for locks need to be tight, really.
So is that like the main complaint?
Yes,
then?
it hurts. It hurts mainly too when you get up from the chair.
Oh,
And they're
okay.
so darn tight and so close to your scalp. They know you can see a person's scalp. I see a little bit of tension going on. This tiny bit of pink going on because I'm pulling at your hair just a little bit. But the untrained person would just keep going as though your scalp means nothing.
Oh.
You have to learn to know when that last position is. And sometimes you may even have to work with it and you try to pull and it won't come through. Feel free to pull it back out and make the surrounding hairs neat again and do it again in another position. Sometimes right next to it is better. Yeah. And you get a lot of interlock clients when they start learning from others that, hey, it didn't hurt when I did it. Maybe you pulled a few hairs here and there, which is to be expected, but they didn't pull your brains out. When I sit there and do it to myself, it's terrible.
Oh man.
And I know when to stop. It's like, okay, I can't see, but okay, I got it. And it's really not that bad. It's just knowing when to stop. And again, that last position you think is your last would be from the bottom, so you won't hurt the person. because you know, as it gets closer to the scalp, you pull more hairs. So grabbing it from the bottom is a definite way to give better service. And I spin it a little bit just to make sure I have every drop of new growth, so that when you bring it in the second time, you don't have to concentrate on that no more. You can just do this. And then you almost have it complete and lead row with the greatest of ease. And she didn't wince and say all this and all of that. It pulled something, but it didn't pull a lot. Put some extra hairs. Alright. And sometimes when you have bumps in the locks, it can hurt too, because you got to get past that through the entire part that you're trying to keep tight in the first place. That's what makes it hard. This part right here. There we go. Brand new. Alright, you can pause the